Have you ever found yourself praying for a job, a check, or a specific opportunity like that was going to save you? God had to remind me recently through a conversation that I had with my mom that I was putting way too much faith in the resource and not enough faith in the source, also known as God. Jobs, money, even people who help us, they're just tools that God chooses to use. They're not God. And that's exactly why we need to talk about this today. I don't know about you, but I have definitely made this mistake many times in my life. And I would pray, God, please give me this job. God, please give me that opportunity. God, please, I need this income. God, I really need this door to open. Sound familiar? And there's nothing wrong with praying for these things. We live on earth. We deal with physical needs, rent, bills, food, responsibilities. They're real. I get it. But like my mom said, there was something that she said that really stopped me in my tracks. And she said, we can't capture anything in the physical realm unless it's captured in the spiritual realm first. So in other words, the 9 to 5, the contract, the financial help, it's not the real source. God is. And so when we focus so hard on the resource, we limit God. And I was talking to my mom and I told her that I wanted to do an episode on this because, I needed it myself. And I wanted to do an episode on this, on the importance of focusing on God as the source and not the resources he uses, because I myself have mistaken the two. Okay. I'm being completely honest here. And so my mom reminded me that when you limit your prayers to a specific outcome, for example, if you're just praying for a 9 to 5 job, you're boxing God in if his plan was for you to pursue entrepreneurship. And so I mentioned to my mom that oftentimes, we want God's best, but we also forget that his best usually involves detours. And we sometimes forget that God's timing is perfect. And every season we encounter, good or bad, has a beginning and an end. And God's goal is to grow us, not break us. Again, I'm telling her this because I'm trying to remind myself of this as well. So my mom then pointed out something that I never really thought about. We often stay in challenging seasons longer because we don't go to God for guidance and we don't do what he tells us what to do. God already assigns a time frame for our stressful moments, but we prolong those stressful moments when we refuse to ask God, what are you trying to show me? And if we listen, we move through our hardship much faster. So the conversation I had with my mom reinforced what I oftentimes forget. Resources change, jobs change, people change, but God, the source, never does. And so my mom and I came up with 3 very real signs that you might be mistaking your resource for your source. So sign number 1, you've turned the resource into an idol. An idol is anything, person, place, or thing that you feel that you just cannot live without. You panic if you lose it. You crumble if it's threatened. You cling to it like your life depends on it. And if the loss of something steals your peace, it might be an idol. Sign number 2, you manipulate circumstances to get it. When you start scheming, pushing, or stressing, you're relying on the resource instead of trusting the source. So you find yourself forcing things, trying to make people stay, trying to make doors open, trying to twist situations in your favor, trying to help God out. Last but not least, sign number 3, you get depressed when the resource doesn't show up. Listen, I've been there. My mom literally reminded me of this situation. This is what she said, and then I'll explain it. Remember the time, Tasha, you got depressed because you didn't get that one apartment? Now, I couldn't help but laugh because I remember being so mad that I didn't get this one apartment several years ago that I wanted, only to later realize that God didn't let me get that apartment because that apartment building that I thought was my dream apartment was literally next to a very fancy looking halfway house. I found that out like a couple weeks after I ended up getting the apartment that God wanted me to have. I went back to what I thought was my dream apartment and literally saw all these people just walking around very zombie-like. So yes, very, very glad that he didn't answer my prayers. Again, I didn't realize that until I got the apartment that God really wanted me to have. Okay. So when your joy rises and falls based on whether the specific resource that you wanted shows up, that's a sign you're looking at the wrong thing, because the truth is the resource was never your provider. God was. And here's the thing. If any of this hits home, myself included, here's the good news. You can shift your focus today. Instead of praying, Lord, please bless this one job, this one opportunity, pray this instead. God, you are my source. Provide through whatever resource you choose. Instead of clinging to a door, cling to the God who can open any door. And instead of panicking about how, rest in the one who already knows how. God can change the resource at any moment. And I've seen that happen in my own life. But God remains the source forever. God will never let your life depend on something he can't control. Again, God will never let your life depend on something he can't control. People can fail, jobs can end, opportunities can shift, money can dry up. But God is the source. He is unfailing, unchanging, unshakable, and unlimited. Everything else is just a tool he uses to bless you. So the question is, are you focused on the source or the resource? And if you're ready to place your focus back where it belongs, please drop "God is my source" in the comments. And if this blessed you, don't forget to like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel for more faith-based content. And remember, if you're everything to everyone, you risk being no one. You never know who you will inspire. See you in the next episode.